Guys, well, thank you so much for tuning in today to our first webinar. Success doesn't happen overnight, and I'm so excited to introduce you all to Gianna Comer here in our Keller Williams Arizona Realty office. Gianna has been with KWAS for 4 years, and we are going to kind of specifically hone in on her rookie year a little bit today, and then also talk about what's been going on within the past year for her, talk about her business, lead generation strategies, and things like that. Currently, within the last 6 months, she has produced $1.3 million in volume, which is super exciting. And she's also got some deals that she'll tell us about throughout her story coming up here set to close. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Gianna. And if you would just share a little bit, Gianna, about your story and how you got into real estate.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me here. When you messaged and asked if I'd take part, I was always super excited. My story is, I guess, maybe a little more unique than others. I started out in corporate America, went to college like I was supposed to, got my 4-year degree, and I was going to go off and work in corporate America. And it was great. I worked with a company for about 8 years. That's where I got my start. It was more of like a business development. It went right hand in hand with what I'm doing now. And 8 years in, after transferring out here, I was unfortunately laid off. I did not have notice, and it was quite devastating. It was kind of my first big career letdown. I had never experienced something like that, and it was like kind of just taken from you. It wasn't something that, I didn't perform, or I wasn't doing this or wasn't doing that. It was just one day I had a job and the next day I didn't. So after moping around for a good couple of weeks, thinking that my life was just forever over, I thought to myself, okay, what can I do? This can't happen again. I went to work, I went to college, I did what I was supposed to, and here I am still. So what puts me a little more in control? And so my first thought was entrepreneurship. So what am I going to do? What does that look like? Where do I go from here? Real estate and I guess houses, so to speak, were always a passion. And I came from a background of relationship building. So once I kind of dove in a little more into real estate, it made sense. So in the middle of the night, I registered for real estate school. And that next Monday, I started real estate school. And that became my full-time job. I finished real estate school and I interviewed brokerage after brokerage after brokerage. Again, wanting to make sure that I did not put myself in a position where I looked up and maybe didn't have a job or things weren't as stable as I'd once thought. So.
And what kind of were you looking for when you were interviewing brokerages? Because I think that's so important that you do that.
Yeah. So I had come from corporate America. So I was kind of used to big teams, big numbers, lots of volume, many doors. So when I saw Keller Williams and the structure of the company and learned about profit share, most importantly, that's really what struck home to me. So I started interviewing multiple Keller Williams offices, not realizing how big Keller Williams actually is and that each door is individually owned and operated. So I quickly learned that though Keller Williams, we all have great practices. We all have everything from corporate. Every door is ran a little differently. And there was something about KWAS that had just hit home. Throughout the 4 years that I've been here, we've had many changes, lots of people in, lots of people out. But I think the culture and the epitome of KWAS as a whole, it's still always been the same. So it's one thing that I fell in love with early on. And honestly, partnering with the brokerage, not just Keller Williams, but partnering with this brokerage, it did become like a family. And I don't know if I would have made it in real estate had I not been at this Keller Williams or even at Keller Williams as a whole. So I think who you hang with matters, as I joke. So all those that are getting licensed or that are already licensed, who you hang with truly does matter in this business. And I saw that firsthand very, very early on.
You know, it kind of just feeding off of that question, we had been talking about this prior and someone had asked a great question. You speak about who you hang with, right? Helps you. You think about the top 5 people that you hang around with. They talk about you hang around with people that are higher than you so you can succeed. Who in your first year specifically did you find yourself networking with to help, help inspire your career, help your career out?
It's actually a great question because I think many rookie agents come in and it can be a little intimidating, especially this market center. We've got a lot of top producers. We've got a lot of agents, and it can be intimidating for a new agent, especially a rookie new agent. So I, unfortunately, I don't know where, I guess that missed me. I didn't know a lot of people coming in, but my goal was I came from a big corporate setting where I knew everyone, and I was going to make myself know everyone. It didn't matter the production. It didn't matter what I didn't know. And so I rubbed elbows and introduced myself to a lot of people that I probably had no business communicating with at that time, that early in my career. One who is a great friend and mentor now, Rich Barker, we met in a bold. I took a bold, didn't want to do bold, told myself, why am I doing bold? I can't afford bold. Oh my gosh, I can't do bold. I'm new. I still took bold. And I'm there. You meet a lot of people in your trainings. I encourage you, anyone that you meet, don't be afraid. Introduce yourself, especially through Keller Williams. I feel like we've got this culture of sharing and caring, and you can go to a lot of different agents and ask them questions, pick their brain, and it's made a huge impact.
That's awesome. For those of you that might be watching that don't know what bold is, or maybe aren't a part of KW, you can do bold no matter what brokerage you're at. If you want to learn a little bit more about that, feel free to reach out and I can share more. But basically, it's an 8-week, once-a-week course where you go in and it's like real estate boot camp, just like on extreme, and you're supported by many people focusing on getting appointments, making contacts, practicing scripts and things like that. So just to kind of cover what that was in case you're wondering. So let's talk a little bit more about your rookie year in general. So your first year in real estate, tell us some of the things, maybe, I know everyone always asks, right? Everyone wants to know, when was your first transaction? When did that happen? How did that happen? And, we're here to be real with you. So take it away, kind of share a little bit about your rookie year with us.
So I do not have a magical story where I got into real estate and I just made tons and sold a ton my first year. Everyone's story is different though. So with that said, I didn't have a transaction for my first 7 months in real estate. One thing though that I can say is, even without having a huge book of business early on, I still showed up. Every day I came in and I didn't know any different. I was used to, like I said, going to corporate America. So I got dressed every day. I was in an office at like 9 a.m. and I stayed until like 5 p.m. So that's what I did. And that's all I knew and that's all I could do because I had been laid off. So what else was I going to do? I had finished real estate school. So now my new job was reporting to this brokerage. The great thing is like I said, partnering with a great brokerage gives you the opportunity to really plug in. And we had a PC program at that time, much like we do today. And the PC program had an agenda and kind of days set for us. So I really dove into that program, and just anything and everything that I could go to, I just showed up for. I think that's also how I was able to meet so many people so early on, and pull from them and learn from them. So I think showing up is half the thing.
Yeah, I love that. And we definitely appreciate your honesty, because sometimes it does happen. Like, we've known people that have come in and in their first week, they kind of had somebody in their back pocket, right? That they knew was ready to buy or sell, and write a contract week 1. You can write a contract 45 to 90 days in, or sometimes it takes a little bit longer. And Gianna and I, we were talking a little bit before we went live, and you shared a little bit about, you kind of tried a lot of things.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that and maybe some
Absolutely
insights?
So I did join the PC program. And so after that, I guess for 7 months, after doing bold, ironically, I closed transactions shortly after bold. I found the value in truly partnering in a different capacity, not just the support from a PC program, but partnering in another capacity that could help me quickly generate transactions. And so for me, through the PC program, at that time, my coach introduced me to an agent that did a lot of fix and flips. So I started working closely with that agent and really learned the fix and flip business as well, learned what it looked like to work with investors versus traditional transactions. And that's really where things took off for me. We did 16 fix and flips back to back together. So I got to see transaction after transaction after transaction, and really go from very little business to a lot of business, and having to juggle that and try to create business, new business. A lot of my focus did stick with that, I guess, first year in production, so maybe 7 to 18 months. I did that for a good year, and then went back to traditional real estate, did lots of open houses, lots of door knocking, and really tried to just hone in on building relationships with people.
I love that.
Which kind of brings us more to present day.
Yeah.
Real estate.
So a lot of what we talk about and kind of help you out here is talking about what activities do you do to lead generate to get the majority of your business. So the beauty about being here, right, is that we're in the sales business. We know that, but we know there are multiple different ways to do that, whether it's making calls, being in person, and the most important part about that is finding what you love to do so that you'll do it and then actually following through and doing it. So what would you say are your forms of lead generation, Gianna, that work really well for you and get you into production and get you transactions?
Absolutely. I'm a firm believer, one, I had a partner at one time, and our motto, kind of what it started on, is you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. If you don't like door knocking, don't door knock. If you don't like open houses, don't do open houses. But you do have to find something that you like, and you do have to do it, and have to do it consistently. So for me, I like open houses. When I didn't have a ton of business, I did probably 4 to 5 open houses a week, and that's all I did. Now, at that time, I didn't really know what to do with all those leads. Present day, that's great, because I've got a huge book of, a database that I built from all those open houses, where now I do know how to do it. So I encourage you, even if you don't know how to fully lead generate, you don't know what that looks like, you don't know how to start it, do something, capture information, get names, contact, addresses, phone numbers, as much information as you can gather, do it, because it'll pay off. If you don't know what to do with it now, it's okay. Partner with somebody.
Yeah.
She can show you what to do with it. Someone will know what to do with it. But most importantly, get out there and lead generate and find a way to make it fun and find a way to do it consistently. So for me, that was open houses and face-to-face. Right now, though, obviously with this pandemic going on, it kind of changes things. It's a big game changer, actually. I can't do open houses. I can't door knock. So lead generation looks a little different today.
Yeah, and would you share a little bit about, we were talking about that before too, how your lead generation is shifting a little bit present day, and what your plan of attack is and how you're handling that.
Yeah, so one thing, the cool thing is, if you are comfortable on the phones, great. If you weren't, I'm sure you've gotten comfortable, or you'll be getting comfortable over the next few weeks. But the nice thing is, people are home. They are answering. You just have to call them. So right now, a lot of the calls,
you have to do what?
You just have to call them.
I was just making sure we got that out there.
Yeah, they don't call you all the time. So yeah, a lot of the lead generation right now is just kind of wellness calls, touch base calls, past clients. Early on, I was really on fire when this started, and I actually had a couple referrals come in, put a couple things in escrow very quickly. So that's kind of consumed some of my time. But the lead generation, it's just checking on people, seeing how things are going. The conversation is going to shift to real estate. If people haven't reached out to you to ask how you are or what your business is doing, when you call and ask about them and their family, they're going to naturally talk to you. So now may not be the time for everyone, but there's a lot of good messaging out there where if it is the right time, you can definitely maximize that. And there's great deals. People are still listing homes. Buyers are still buying homes. I've got a closing next week, and it was probably as soon as all of this happened to now. So it created a little bit of urgency for them, where they wanted to have something that was theirs. They didn't want to have to worry about renting. So don't let what's going on scare you. Don't let it steer you away from real estate if you haven't started. Obviously, licensing may be held up in some extent, but if you are able to get going and get moving, definitely there's business out there.
And I think one of the things we were talking about too is, we're calling and we're doing wellness checks and we're reaching out and we're being a connector, but not to necessarily be afraid to share real estate information either. Not come off as, hey, do you want to buy or sell? But come across and bring them information to your phone call. Just share a market update.
A lot of it's market updates. Some people are worried. You can be that kind of voice of reason. Obviously, we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know what's going to happen, but there's a lot of positive and great things still happening in the market. Share that with people, because not every day people are hearing good things. So if you've got something good real estate wise, don't be afraid to share it still.
I love that. And I know some people listening, this is interesting because I didn't know this about you originally. You were not from the area or from the state, right?
No.
Like, so a lot of us have that coming in, right? We move here and we're like, they're telling me to call my sphere, but I don't know anybody here.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So I was not from here. I've only lived here, I guess 7 years now, 6 years. So that was early on kind of my struggle, where it's like, well, I don't have a sphere. Nobody wants to buy. I'm from Nebraska. Like, they're not moving here. My friends, we're in our mid-30s. We're trying to get one home, not second homes in Arizona. So it was a little bit of a challenge, and I didn't really know how to define my sphere at that time. Now, as I look back, had I changed some of the messaging, changing a little, tweak just the approach, you have a sphere. Everyone has a sphere. A lot of my business now is referrals, where I will have friends or family that have someone that moves here or knows someone moving somewhere else, and I connect them with another agent. So there's a lot of different ways to work your sphere, or to let your sphere work for you. It's not just your friends and family buying houses, because you're gonna, at some point, you're going to sell all your friends and family houses. And to be honest, those aren't even, sphere deals are great, but those are some of the hardest deals out there. Like, go meet strangers, befriend them, and sell them houses.
You mentioned kind of, if you were to look back, you would tweak a little bit about who your sphere would be. How would you, if you could go back and talk to the Gianna 4 years from now, what do you think you would tell her in terms of finding a sphere?
I think, one, don't be a secret agent. I know everyone says that, but I always, and even to this day, I always think my friends and family and everyone knows I'm in real estate. They see me post, they see me do this, they see me that. They don't. So don't be afraid to continue to remind people. And it doesn't have to be about buying and selling. It can be market updates, especially with all the technology and tools that Keller Williams offers, and even other brokerages. There's a lot of great tools and information out there. It's just a matter of putting it together and using it, and finding a way to present it to people and make it make sense. I was always kind of fearful of like, well, I don't want to bother, I don't want to interrupt. And one of the big things is just find something worth interrupting these people about. Don't make it that you're bothering them. Bring them something of value, and do it in a way that makes sense for them. One person, the way they receive your real estate news and the way someone else receives it, it's not going to be the same. So target your audiences and find a way to make it work for you.
I love that. So I came up with a question here. For those of you that don't know, Gianna is not on a team. She is an individual agent. So can you share with us a little bit about your choice to be an individual agent as opposed to joining a team? Just kind of the thought process there.
Absolutely. Though I'm an individual agent, I definitely cannot take credit for where I'm at alone. There's definitely ways to be solo agent and not join a team, but I will say that could be a part of, what took me a little longer to get things to come together. So don't be afraid to partner in some capacity. It doesn't have to be a traditional team. For me, I was used to building teams, leading teams, coming from the corporate world. So it made sense where if I was going to have to do lead gen, which everybody, whether you're on a team or not, a solo agent, a big team, a small team, you've got to do lead generation. And as soon as that clicked, where no matter what, I was going to have to do lead generation, it just made sense where if I was going to have to do lead generation, I was going to lead generate for myself. Everybody's different though. So find what works for you and do it. If you need to have that person, writing you and telling you, today is this day, you've got to do X, Y, and Z, or you're not going to do it, then a team might make more sense for you. For me, I was used to kind of being a little more self-led, and I wanted the flexibility. And so it didn't make sense to join a team for me. But I definitely see the value in teams if you're that type of agent. If you're not going to get out there and do it yourself, then join a team, and do it quickly, or at least get into some type of coaching, PC program. Don't try to go at it on your own. You don't have to. So
I love that. What would you say, we in Keller Williams, we talk a lot about time blocking, and maybe for those of you that haven't really been in our culture before, time blocking is really setting up your schedule and taking those big rocks, right? The things that are most important personally and business-wise, and putting those on your calendar and not letting anything interrupt those blocks of time. So what would you say a typical time block or schedule in the day in the life of Gianna looks like? And maybe we can do pre-COVID, and then what, if anything, has shifted slightly during this quarantine time.
Well, and I wish I could say that nothing has shifted, but in reality, nothing should shift. It's just your lead generation looks different. You still have to set the time aside regardless of what's going on, I find. I will be honest, I have not always done that, especially right now, and I can see the difference. Pre-COVID, I think for me, there was a little more structure to my day. I got up, I had more of a routine, I had places to kind of be, so to speak. It wasn't so virtual, it wasn't so on the phone and like internet based. So I think the big thing is with your time blocking is to have a routine and to stick to it and to give yourself realistic time blocking. I share my calendar with my coach, which is a good thing and a bad thing sometimes. But find something that holds you accountable, but definitely time block. And I'm old school. People still make fun of me. I use a paper calendar and my electronic calendar. I love tech. There's nothing wrong with tech, but there's something about physically writing down what should be getting done. And being able to visualize and see it. So if it's a big calendar on your desk or on your wall, I just think time blocking is a must for me. I can tell the days and when I'm productive, when I've done my time blocking and actually done realistic time blocking. Every single hour I've learned doesn't have to be filled. Just because your time block calendar has 5 a.m. to 8 p.m., give yourself realistic breaks between.
I made that mistake my first year too. I thought every little piece had to be full.
Yeah, and I used to have like all these great color. It's like, okay, did you even do, like, you don't have to put everything there. So realistic time blocking is, I think, over the years what I've learned. And just keep the lead generation in there somewhere. Even when COVID happens, keep the lead generation in there.
Right. And what advice would you give? Because we have a lot of people that are new, thinking about the business or new to the business. What advice would you give to a new agent?
I think I said it early on, who you hang with really matters. And that's not just like a cheesy promo for KYs by any means, but whatever that means for you, plug into a brokerage that's going to really support you and that you're going to be able to grow and learn from. There's a lot in this business, and even 4 years in, there's still stuff I don't know. But I think being amongst other agents that do know it, you're not always going to have the answers, but being able to go to someone that does makes a world of a difference in this business.
I love that. Well, I'm going to kind of check my question list, but as I'm doing that, you guys, in the chat box, if you guys have any specific questions for Gianna, this would be a great time for you guys to go ahead and just type them into the chat box, and I will look at that and kind of read them off as I'm checking my list here. Give it a second. Got one while we're waiting. What do you think is the one thing in your career that has transformed or kind of given you the most success? So if you had to pick like the one thing that maybe you shifted your mindset towards, or what one thing, kind of transformational moment or realization did you have?
I would say hiring a coach. The PC program is great, and I think that's great for initial accountability. But once I kind of transitioned out of the PC program and the PC kind of structure, I took what I had, which was a lot, and ran with it. But I think really hiring a coach and somebody that you respect and that's going to really truly hold you accountable, kind of call you out. For me, it was difficult because I was a good yeser. I could fluff stuff. I could kind of talk my way through it. And so having a coach that really gets you and can call you out on your stuff, I think is huge, because that's where I've seen that growth, because you can easily in this business convince yourself that you're busy and you're doing stuff. Even on my last coaching call, we had this conversation. Just because there's a lot of action, it doesn't equal motion. So I just, hire a coach and somebody that can keep you accountable.
All right. I see some questions coming up, so I am going to just jump in. Sorry that my face got really close to the screen. Okay, so we have someone wondering, Gianna, what school did you attend, or did you study online?
So when I was getting licensed, they didn't have online licensing. I went to the Arizona School of Real Estate and Business. I did the face-to-face classes. I just gotten laid off, so I didn't have anything else but real estate to focus on. So that was a great blessing. But I did the 3-week face-to-face. That's what I recommend. I've got a couple friends and people that I've known that are getting licensed right now, and some of them haven't liked the online. Obviously, you don't have a choice but to do online right now. So Arizona School of Real Estate and Business, that would be my suggestion. I think that they've probably adapted and have some workarounds with everything going on.
Yeah. So we know that is a school, and then we also have some information for the CE shop as well. So that would be another resource, and it kind of just like you can go on and do a little bit of research and decide which would be best for you, which is some information that I can send out after the webinar is over to all the participants. And I know one of the questions that came in kind of referred to social distancing right now. And right now we're doing the best we can. We have taken precautions to wipe everything down in the room as well as sanitize ourselves before we began. But just wanted to be able to present you guys with the information the best we could here. And then we have a couple more coming in. So does Keller Williams have a program for training and transitioning? I believe this is to real estate agent. So I believe what that question is referring to, and please correct me or comment if I'm wrong. But if you're asking about does Keller Williams have a program to helping agents transition, that's actually partially that's my role in the company. I'm the productivity coach, and my job is to help you launch yourselves into business within, really our goal is within the first few months is to get you a transaction. So you're with me for your first 6 transactions in the program on the PC team, and we have resources, a shared drive where literally you can rip off and duplicate our systems and models that we know have proven to be successful, as well as a private Facebook page and coaching sessions together. Right now we just adapted and we do our coaching sessions virtually with the team. And in addition to all of the training that goes on in the Market Center.
That's awesome.
So what would you say, Gianna, Market Center training, when you first joined, what were some of the things in the Market Center that you found valuable to attend being a new agent?
Well, I first did Ignite, which Ignite's changed a lot over the years. And so we first went through Ignite, which really kind of it laid out just a typical real estate transaction, kind of what to expect. I will be honest though, until you get in and you start running transactions, it's not going to all click. It's not going to make sense, and that's okay. So don't freak out. I think a lot of agents early on it can be overwhelming. It's somewhat of a fire hose of information that gets thrown at you once you feel like you just dried off from going to real estate school and getting licensed and testing. So there's a lot of information, definitely, but I would try to go to as much, like I said before, just show up as much as you can. If you don't have the lead generation, or you're not doing it, or you're not in the practice, go to classes, plug into the brokerage, go to outside stuff. But yeah, Ignite, I would say, would be the first thing to start with.
Yeah, and Ignite is actually rolling back in May. We run it 5 times a year, so it's awesome. It's like the intention of Ignite is for everybody in the Market Center to either kickstart their business or to reflect on their business if they're not seeing the production that they want to see, and improve it and increase production. But that's Ignite is it's 20 sessions, and most of the sessions are taught by different agents in the Market Center, which is really neat because then you get perspective, like you get Gianna's perspective, my perspective, everyone else get other perspective in the office on how successful agents are running their business. So that's another training piece that we do here that's super helpful. Let me just check back in. Okay, realistically, how long does it take to become an agent? Great question. And that kind of goes with the track of schooling that you choose. So Gianna, you had chosen.
I did the 3-week face-to-face. But I mean, they've got crasher courses where you can do, at least they had face-to-face 9-day crasher. Did they ever do an online?
I think they're still doing online crasher courses as well.
So it depends on your learning preference. And how quickly you can take in and retain the information. I recommend to get done with the classes as fast as you can, study, and then test as quickly as you can. The longer you drag it out, I feel like the more difficult it is to retain the information, but everybody's learning style is different. So
yeah, I'd agree. You have to kind of look at the programs on that Arizona School real estate and the CE shop and kind of see which track best fits you. And then the reality right now is some of the testing facilities have their own rules about what they're allowing or not allowing in terms of in-person testing, which for right now, at least until the 16th, we know that that's suspended. I think it might be till May 1st as well. But I will keep you guys all posted on that. Otherwise, it's just kind of calling and actually just asking them, what are your protocols? Many schools have changed over to let you take the school test online, and then it's the state test that you have to be in person for.
And one thing that I would say is just, even if you can't go through your whole schooling or you can't test, try to partner and plug in with whatever brokerage that you may decide to hang with. Because I think there's a lot of resources, at least that we have, KWAS, for people before they even get licensed.
Great. All right, so give it a minute for any more questions that might pop up. Oh, here we go. Let's see. All right. Gianna, could you maybe tell us a little bit briefly about your fix and flip experience?
Yeah, so before I really even knew how to run a transaction, I partnered with another agent that they did just a lot of fix and flips. At that time, that was the market here. The market's obviously changed a little bit, but we basically would go in, find the houses, go in. They had a scheme that they ran house after house, so that was there. But I would help from beginning to end, work with the contractors, work with different vendors and things to get the actual remodel done. And then I was the listing agent, so I would list the property, market the property, and sell it. So it was a unique way of doing real estate early on, just because it wasn't a traditional, I guess, relationship that you had to build. It was more of, I guess, a transaction versus a relationship type of transaction. But I liked it. It definitely gave me a good foundation. It took me all over the city, so it was a way for me to learn Arizona, not being from here, not knowing all parts of the valley. It was a great way to kind of get me all around the valley. So
I love
lots
that.
of open houses in different areas.
And like you said, kind of just getting your foot in the door
yeah,
too.
It gave me the ability to run transactions without worrying about how to get the lead. It was more of a business transaction versus an actual person. So it gave me the experience. It got me used to the transactions. It got me used to the timeframes, the inspection periods. So if you can ever shadow anyone, if you don't have business, if the PC program has where they, partner you with a different agent, I think that's really beneficial early on.
I love that. And how did you find the investor that you partnered with?
It was through the PC program.
Okay.
So that's what I was saying. When you come in and you have the opportunity to build relationships with people in your brokerage, or you have the ability to partner with a brokerage where those relationships are possible, it definitely opens doors. So my coach at that time had a good relationship with different agents in the office, and it set up different opportunities that we were able to kind of work into our business and learn from.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very
awesome.
good. All right. Well, I think that might have been, yeah. Okay. I don't see any more questions down there. But if you guys come up with any after the fact, feel free to reach out. I think everybody has my email. I can get you in contact with Gianna as well. I just want to say thank you so much for spending time with me today and sharing with us. We definitely appreciate you.
Well, thank you. It was definitely a great time.
Thank you. Have a great afternoon, you guys. We'll see you all soon.